Mohamed Salah, a name that echoes through stadiums, a legacy built on hard work, sweat, and sheer resilience. But in the relentless world of soccer, loyalty is constantly tested, and even legends are questioned. When a former Liverpool star, Bob Miller, dared to disrespect him on live TV, the world waited with bated breath for Salah's response. Would he let his critics define him, their harsh words chipping away at his confidence? Or would he remind them, with the roar of the crowd and the magic in his feet, why he's considered one of the greatest? Tell us where you're watching from today. We love to know. The studio lights glowed brightly, reflecting off the polished desk where Bob Miller sat. The former Liverpool defender leaned forward, his voice filled with an authority that bordered on arrogance as he spoke into the microphone. "I love Mo Salah, I really do. But let's be honest, his best days are behind him," Bob declared, his words hanging heavy in the air. A knot of unease tightened in the pit of many viewers' stomachs. Liverpool should think about moving on, finding fresh blood. The other pundits exchanged uneasy glances. One of them, a visibly uncomfortable John Davis, cleared his throat nervously. But Salah is still delivering," John stammered. "He's been one of the best players in the league this season, consistently." Bob shook his head dismissively, a smug look creeping across his face. "Look, I respect everything he's done, all the goals, all the glory. But this is about the future," he insisted. "We've seen him hesitate over contracts before. Is his heart truly still in Liverpool, or is he already thinking about that next big paycheck, that golden parachute?" The words were like a dagger, aimed straight at the heart of Salah's legacy. Within minutes, clips of the contentious discussion flooded social media. Fans erupted in a furious storm of outrage. "How can Bob disrespect Salah like this?" one fan raged. "Mo has carried us for years, given us his blood, sweat, and tears, and now they turn on him like he's yesterday's news." It was a sentiment echoed by thousands. Hashtags like #RespectSalah and #MillerOut trended worldwide, a digital testament to the fans' unwavering loyalty. Salah, however, remained silent, a stoic figure amidst the swirling storm. He'd seen it all before: the fickle nature of fame, the praise when he scored, the doubts and whispers when he didn't. Sitting in his living room, the soft glow of the television illuminating his face, he scrolled through the comments on his phone. His phone buzzed incessantly with messages from teammates, even old friends, offering their support. "Don't let it get to you, Mo," one message read. "You know what you need to do. Show them on the field." He put the phone down, his jaw set with determination. Words meant nothing. Only actions held weight. Liverpool had a big match coming up, a chance for redemption, a stage for his reply. That's where his response would be delivered, loud and clear. The online firestorm raged on in the hours following Bob's comments. Fans were fiercely divided. Some, a small but vocal minority, agreed that Liverpool should prepare for life after Salah. But the overwhelming majority saw the remarks as deeply disrespectful, a betrayal of a player who had given his all to the club. "He's given everything for this club," one fan wrote, their voice cracking with emotion. "Where's the loyalty? Without Salah, we wouldn't have won half the trophies we did. Bob has lost all credibility." Clips of Salah's greatest moments in a Liverpool shirt flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, a visual symphony of his brilliance. His Champions League heroics, his record-breaking goals, his relentless work ethic, all served as undeniable proof that he was far from finished. These were reminders of the joy he had brought, the moments etched forever in the hearts of fans. But the debate refused to die down. Pundits on other networks picked up the discussion, adding fuel to the fire. "Bob Miller has a point," one analyst conceded. "Salah's contract situation has always been a topic of conversation. Maybe his mind is elsewhere." That's utter nonsense, another countered vehemently. The guy has done nothing but perform, year after year. You don't just replace a player like Salah. It's impossible. Meanwhile, inside the Liverpool training ground, Salah went about his routine with a quiet intensity, as if nothing had happened. He arrived early, as always. He trained harder than anyone else, pushing himself to the limit. His teammates noticed the subtle shift, the tension in his movements, the extra sharpness of his touches, the burning fire in his sprints. It was a quiet rage, fueling his every move. "You all right, Mo?" Mike Van Dijk asked after a particularly grueling training session, concern etched on his face. Salah nodded, his gaze fixed on the distance. "Yeah, it's just talk, right?" he said, his voice low and steady. "People love to stir things up. It's all part of the game." Salah smiled faintly, but said nothing more. The weight of expectation was a familiar burden, one he carried with grace and strength. Back home, he scrolled through his messages again. A text from his agent stood out. "If you want to respond, I can arrange an interview. Set the record straight." He typed back quickly, his fingers flying across the screen. "No interviews." A moment later, he sent another message, his decision firm. "I'll answer on the pitch." The next game was days away, but the weight of expectation was already growing, pressing down on him like a physical force. Fans wanted a statement. The media wanted a reaction. Bob Miller wanted to be proven right. Salah wanted only one thing: to let his football do the talking, to silence the doubts with the eloquence of his play. The tension inside Liverpool's training ground was palpable, thick enough to cut with a knife. Despite the usual drills, tactical sessions, and finishing exercises, there was an unspoken awareness that something had shifted. The air felt heavier, charged with anticipation. Salah, as always, arrived first. He moved through the gym in silence, his focus absolute, laser-like. Every movement was precise, every stretch, every weight lifted, every sprint on the treadmill. He didn't need to speak. His body language screamed his intent. He was preparing for war, a battle fought not with words, but with skill, determination, and the unwavering fire in his heart. The upcoming match against Manchester United wasn't just another fixture. It was a test, a crucible, a chance to silence the noise, to prove his worth, not just to the fans, but to himself. His teammates noticed the change. "Mo's locked in," Trent Alexander-Arnold muttered to Andy Robertson as they walked onto the training pitch, a hint of awe in his voice. Robertson nodded, his gaze fixed on Salah. "Yeah, something's different. He's on a mission." During the training session, Coach Jurgen Klopp observed Salah carefully. His eyes narrowed in concentration. The Egyptian's touches were sharper, his pressing more intense. He played with a controlled fury, an edge, as if he were proving a point with every pass, every run, every shot. It was a silent declaration of intent. At one point, during a small-sided game, he received a pass from Dominic Zobel, turned sharply, and fired a left-footed rocket into the top corner of the net. The net rippled violently, the sound echoing through the training ground. There was no celebration, no outward display of emotion, just a determined jog back to his position. The message was clear. He was ready. Outside the training ground, the media circus continued, a swirling vortex of speculation and opinion. Every major sports network ran segments dissecting the Salah versus Bob Miller debate. "Has Bob been too harsh?" one pundit asked on Sky Sports, their brow furrowed in thought. "I don't think so," another responded, a hint of smugness in their tone. "Salah has been great for Liverpool, no doubt, but if we're being honest, his numbers have slightly declined. Maybe it is time for Liverpool to think about the future, to look for the next generation." "But isn't this just typical media nonsense?" another analyst countered, their voice rising in frustration. "The guy has scored double figures every season. He's still one of the best in the world, even at his age. It's ridiculous to write him off. Meanwhile, Bob Miller doubled down on his comments, refusing to back down. "I stand by what I said," he declared on live television, his chin jutting out defiantly. "I love Salah, I do. But football is a ruthless business. If he's not 100% committed to Liverpool, if his heart isn't fully in it, then maybe it's time to look ahead." His words reignited the fire online. Fans flooded social media with statistics, comparisons, and clips, a digital army rising to defend their hero, proving Salah's continued greatness with a mountain of evidence. Still, Salah remained silent. No posts, no interviews, no responses. His mind was locked on only one thing: the game. The morning of the match, Salah arrived at Anfield earlier than usual. The stadium was still and quiet, the stands empty, bathed in the soft pre-dawn light. He stood in the center of the pitch, breathing in the cold air, his eyes scanning the seats where thousands of fans would soon chant his name, their voices a wave of sound. This was his sanctuary, his battleground, his home. By the time the team arrived for pre-match preparations, the tension had built to its peak, a palpable force. The dressing room was buzzing with nervous energy, a symphony of anticipation. Coach Klopp gave his final speech, his words stirring the players' hearts, but he barely needed to say anything to Salah. He already knew. The fire was already burning. As the players walked onto the pitch, the roar of Anfield shook the ground beneath them, a physical manifestation of the fans' passion. The Kop was alive, a sea of red, singing Salah's name in defiant unison, a powerful rejection of the doubters and critics. It was a sound that could make the hairs on your arms stand on end. But the game didn't start well for Liverpool. Manchester United pressed aggressively from the first whistle, their midfield suffocating Liverpool's passing lanes. Within 15 minutes, they broke through. Marcus Rashford finished a swift counterattack, his shot finding the back of the net, making it 1-0. The stadium fell silent, a stunned hush falling over the crowd, but only for a brief moment. Then, the fans erupted again, their voices rising in a defiant roar, urging their team forward, refusing to let them be defeated. Salah, however, remained composed, his face a mask of concentration. He knew, better than anyone, that a single moment could change everything, that the tide could turn in an instant. He tried to push forward, to create chances, but United's defense crowded him out, suffocating him with their relentless pressure. Every touch he took was met with immediate challenges. He needed an opening, a sliver of space, an opportunity to prove that he was still the man Liverpool could rely on, the player who could turn a game on its head. And then, in the 38th minute, it came, a gift, a chance, a moment of destiny. Liverpool won possession deep in their half. Mike Van Dijk played a quick pass to Trent Alexander-Arnold, who spotted Salah making a run down the right flank, a blur of motion. The ball was perfect, curling beautifully behind the United defense, a masterpiece of precision. Salah sprinted, his legs pumping, his first touch immaculate, a caress of the ball. He cut inside, leaving his marker behind, stranded and helpless. The goal was in sight. He could feel the weight of expectation, the crushing pressure, the doubts, the critics, Bob Miller's words echoing in his ears. He didn't hesitate. With a swift, fluid movement, he curled the ball toward the far post, a shot of pure artistry. The keeper dived, stretching every inch of his body, but the shot was unstoppable, a perfect strike. The ball hit the inside of the net, the sound a sweet symphony to Liverpool ears. Anfield exploded, a volcano of sound and emotion. The roar was deafening, a primal scream of joy and relief. Salah didn't celebrate wildly. He simply stood still, staring at the cameras, his expression unreadable, a mask of defiance. The crowd chanted his name louder than ever, their voices hoarse with passion. His teammates ran to him, embracing him, but he barely reacted. This wasn't about celebration. This was about sending a message, a powerful statement of intent. It was an answer, delivered with the elegance and precision that only he possessed. Halftime arrived with the score tied at 1-1, but Salah wasn't finished. In the dressing room, Coach Klopp placed a hand on his shoulder, his eyes filled with pride. "Perfect," the manager said, his voice calm but firm. "Now finish it. Go out there and win this game." The second half began with Liverpool in control, their confidence restored. They moved the ball with purpose, pressing higher, forcing United into mistakes. Salah was everywhere, dropping deep to receive the ball, sprinting down the wings, linking up with Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo, a constant threat. He was a man possessed, driven by an inner fire. Then, in the 75th minute, Liverpool won a free kick just outside the box, a golden opportunity. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Salah stood over the ball, a silent conversation passing between them. The right back looked at him, a question in his eyes. "You take it," Trent said, a gesture of respect and trust. Salah didn't hesitate. He took a deep breath, measured his steps, and struck the ball cleanly, with power and precision. It curled beautifully over the wall, dipping at the last second, defying gravity. The net bulged. Anfield erupted once again, the sound even louder, more passionate than before. This time, Salah let the emotion show. He turned to the crowd, placing his hand on his chest, over his heart, a gesture of gratitude and connection. There was no need for words. The message had been delivered, loud and clear. He was still here. He was still the king. Liverpool held on for the 2-1 victory, their resilience rewarded. As the final whistle blew, Salah walked off the pitch without looking back, his head held high. His answer had been given, his statement made, not with words, but with the breathtaking brilliance of his play. The final whistle blew, but the energy in Anfield remained electric, a palpable force. Salah walked toward the tunnel, his head held high, his face expressionless, a mask of quiet satisfaction. His performance had been a response louder than any words he could have spoken, a masterpiece of skill and determination. As he entered the dressing room, his teammates greeted him with pats on the back and nods of approval, their respect evident. Coach Klopp stood in the corner, arms crossed, a small smirk playing on his lips. "Well," the manager said, his voice filled with understated pride, "I think you made your point, Mo." Salah simply nodded, a flicker of a smile crossing his lips. He sat down on the bench, unwrapping the tape from his wrists, the adrenaline still pumping through his veins. But there was also a sense of finality, a feeling of accomplishment. He had done what he needed to do. He had silenced the doubters, at least for now. His phone was already buzzing, a constant stream of notifications, messages from friends, family, former teammates, all congratulating him. Social media was in flames, a digital inferno of praise and admiration. Fans were calling it one of his most important performances, a legendary display of resilience. But one message stood out, a message from the very man who had doubted him, Bob Miller. "Bob, fair play, Mo. You showed why you're still the best. Respect." Salah stared at the screen for a moment, his expression unreadable, then put the phone down. He wasn't looking for apologies or approval. He had always believed in proving himself through actions, not words. His validation came from within, from the knowledge that he had given his all, that he had fought for his team, for his fans, for his legacy. Back at the Sky Sports studio, Bob Miller sat in front of the camera, his expression more subdued than usual, humbled by what he had witnessed. "I'll be honest," he said, his voice filled with a newfound respect. "I said what I said because I wanted to see this version of Salah again. The hungry, determined Salah. And tonight, we got it. If he keeps playing like this, with this fire, this passion, there's absolutely no reason for Liverpool to move on from him. He's still a world-class player." The clip went viral, a testament to Salah's impact, but he didn't watch it. He had already moved on, his focus shifting to the next challenge, the next game, the next opportunity to prove himself. The next morning, Salah arrived at training earlier than usual, a familiar routine. The sun was barely up as he stepped onto the pitch, alone, with only the sound of his footsteps and the distant hum of the groundskeepers preparing the field for the day's training. He began his drills, running sprints, perfecting his finishing, pushing himself to the limit. His body ached from the previous night's match, the physical toll evident, but he didn't slow down. He couldn't afford to. Coach Klopp watched from a distance, his eyes filled with admiration. He had known Salah for years, and this was who he was, never satisfied, always striving for more, a relentless pursuit of excellence. It was a quality that separated the good from the great, the legends from the merely talented. By the time the rest of the squad arrived, Salah was already drenched in sweat, his body glistening in the morning light. Andy Robertson jogged over, shaking his head in disbelief. "Mate, do you ever stop? You're a machine." Salah grinned, a rare display of outward emotion. "Not yet, Andy. Not yet." Training was intense. The team was in high spirits after the victory, but Klopp wasn't letting anyone relax. He knew, better than anyone, the dangers of complacency. Liverpool had a tough schedule ahead, a gauntlet of challenging matches, and Salah knew that one performance wouldn't silence the critics forever. The whispers would return, the doubts would resurface, the moment he showed any sign of weakness. It was the nature of the beast. After the training session, Salah stayed behind, a solitary figure on the vast expanse of the pitch. He practiced free kicks, striking ball after ball into the net, honing his craft, perfecting every detail. He didn't hear Klopp approach until the manager stood beside him, his presence a silent reassurance. "You don't have to prove anything, you know," Klopp said, his voice low and calm, his words carrying the weight of experience. "You've already proven it, time and time again." Salah wiped his face with his sleeve, his breath misting in the cool air. "I know," he replied, his voice equally quiet. Klopp studied him for a moment, his gaze penetrating, before nodding slowly. "Good," he said, his voice firm, "because the only thing that matters is what happens on the pitch, not what people say about you. The noise is irrelevant. The game is everything." That night, Salah finally took a moment to scroll through social media, a rare indulgence. He saw the support, the praise, the outpouring of love from the fans. Even the journalists who had questioned him were now admitting they had been wrong, their words a testament to his performance. But one comment stood out, a simple observation that resonated deeply. "They always doubt him, and he always responds. It's what he does." He smiled, a quiet, knowing smile. The season was far from over. There would be more challenges, more criticism, more obstacles to overcome. But he was ready. He had faced adversity before, and he had always emerged stronger. And the next time someone questioned him, he wouldn't need to say a word. His football, his actions, would speak for itself, a language understood by all. The days after the match were quieter than expected, a lull in the storm. Salah had done what he needed to do, silenced the critics, at least temporarily, and the media had moved on, their attention drawn to the next headline, the next controversy. But the weight of the situation still lingered, a subtle undercurrent. He knew how football worked. One great performance could silence critics for a moment, but only consistency, unwavering dedication, would keep them quiet. Salah arrived at training, feeling the same determination as before, the fire still burning brightly within him. Nothing had changed in his mind. The season was long, a marathon, not a sprint, and he had to keep proving himself, game after game, week after week. He jogged onto the pitch early, the cold air biting at his skin as he went through his individual drills, pushing himself to the limit. When the rest of the squad joined, the intensity was high. Klopp had made it clear that there was no room for complacency, no time for resting on laurels. Liverpool had a tight title race on their hands, and every game mattered. Every point was precious. During a small-sided game, Salah received the ball on the wing. He took a touch, feinted inside, and curled a shot toward the top corner, a move that had become his trademark. It smashed off the post, the sound echoing through the training ground. "Unlucky," Mike Van Dijk called out, his voice filled with encouragement. Salah reset, refocused, his determination unwavering. A minute later, he got the ball again, in a similar position. This time, he drilled it low and hard, past the keeper, the ball nestling in the back of the net. No celebration, just a nod of approval to himself, a quiet acknowledgement of a job well done. Klopp clapped his hands, his voice booming across the pitch. "That's what I want to see, Mo. That's the focus, the intensity. Keep it up." After training, Salah showered quickly and checked his phone. A message from his agent was waiting, another interview request, this time from a major broadcaster. "They want your side of the story, the inside scoop on the Bob Miller situation." Salah hesitated before replying, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Not interested," he typed, his decision firm. The headlines were already changing, the narrative shifting. The media, ever fickle, had begun to shift the conversation. Now, instead of questioning Salah's future, they were praising his mentality, his resilience, his ability to rise above the noise. "Salah silences critics with world-class performance," one headline proclaimed. "Liverpool's Egyptian king isn't finished yet," another declared. Still, not everyone was convinced. The doubters remained, lurking in the shadows. In another Sky Sports segment, the discussion continued, the debate raging on. "One great performance doesn't change everything," one pundit said, his voice skeptical. "Let's see if he can sustain this level for the rest of the season. Consistency is key." Salah didn't need to hear it to know what was being said. He understood the nature of the game, the constant scrutiny, the relentless pressure. That night, he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the silence of his room amplifying his thoughts. The outside noise never truly disappeared. It just faded into the background for a while, waiting to resurface. He thought about everything: his journey, his career, his family back home, watching every game, their hopes and dreams intertwined with his. He thought about the younger generation of Egyptian footballers, looking up to him, their eyes filled with admiration and aspiration. He wasn't just playing for himself. He was playing for something bigger, a legacy that extended far beyond the football pitch. The next morning, he showed up at training even earlier, driven by an inner fire that burned brighter than ever. He hit free kick after free kick, perfecting every detail, honing his craft, pushing himself to be better, to be the best. Klopp watched from afar, arms crossed, a knowing look in his eyes, a silent understanding passing between them. The next match was approaching, a tough away fixture against a defensive side, a team known for sitting deep and frustrating attacking players. The kind of game that required patience, precision, and a moment of brilliance to unlock. Salah was no longer thinking about Bob Miller. He wasn't thinking about the critics. He was thinking only about how to win, how to find that crucial goal, how to lead his team to victory. The sun had barely risen when Salah stepped onto the empty training pitch, the floodlights buzzing overhead, casting long shadows on the damp grass. He could hear his own breath in the cold morning air, a steady rhythm accompanying his movements. The match against Manchester United was behind him, a distant memory. But the season marched forward, relentless and unforgiving. He knew that one brilliant performance wasn't enough. Football was a ruthless mistress. If he didn't keep delivering, the same people who praised him yesterday would be the ones questioning him tomorrow. Their memories short, their loyalty fickle. It was the nature of the game, and he accepted it. He started with shooting drills, striking ball after ball into the net. Inside foot, outside foot, volleys, each one precise, each one carrying a message, a silent declaration of intent. The echoes of the ball hitting the net filled the silence around him, a symphony of dedication. Klopp arrived at the pitch earlier than usual, drawn by the sound of Salah's solitary training. He stood at the edge, hands in his pockets, watching, observing, his eyes filled with a quiet admiration. He knew what drove Salah, the relentless pursuit of excellence, the unwavering commitment to his craft. "You do know we have training in 2 hours, right?" Klopp finally called out, his voice breaking the silence, a hint of amusement in his tone. Salah turned, wiping sweat from his forehead, a small smile playing on his lips. "Just getting started," he replied, his voice calm and confident. Klopp nodded, his gaze knowing. "Good," he said, his voice firm, "because we have another battle coming up, another challenge to overcome." The next match was against a tough defensive side, a team known for sitting deep, absorbing pressure, and frustrating attacking players. Salah knew that he would be double-marked, that space would be limited, that patience would be key. These were the games where mental fortitude was just as important as physical skill, where a single moment of brilliance could make all the difference. When the full squad arrived, the intensity of training was high, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. Klopp focused on movement, quick passes, rotations, finding gaps in tight defenses, exploiting any weakness. "Be unpredictable," he shouted, his voice echoing across the pitch. "Don't let them settle. Keep them guessing. Surprise them." Salah absorbed every instruction, his mind a sponge, soaking up every detail. He knew that his biggest strength wasn't just his speed or his finishing. It was his intelligence, his ability to read the game, to anticipate movements, to sense where the gaps would appear before they even materialized. During a scrimmage, he received the ball just outside the box. Instead of cutting inside, as expected, he shifted right, a subtle movement, creating just enough space to curl a shot into the far corner, a masterpiece of deception. The keeper dived, but had no chance, the ball nestling perfectly in the net. Andy Robertson jogged over, shaking his head in disbelief. "Mate, you're on another level right now," he said, his voice filled with awe. "You're unstoppable." Salah simply nodded, his expression unchanged. He wasn't chasing personal glory. He was chasing something bigger. The victory, the points, the title. The stadium was packed, the atmosphere electric. The away fans were loud, trying to rattle Liverpool, their chants and jeers echoing through the stands. The opposing team played exactly as expected, compact, physical, giving Salah no room to breathe. Every time he touched the ball, 2 defenders swarmed him, tugging at his shirt, blocking his passing lanes, forcing him into uncomfortable angles. It was a frustrating, suffocating tactic. By halftime, the score was still 0-0. Liverpool had dominated possession, but struggled to break through, their attacks stifled by the opposition's resolute defense. In the dressing room, Klopp remained calm, his voice steady and reassuring. "They want us to get frustrated," he said, his eyes scanning the faces of his players. "That's their game plan. They want us to lose our heads, to make mistakes. So, we don't give them what they want. We stay patient. We stay focused. We keep believing. He turned to Salah, his gaze locking onto his. "You're going to win this game for us, Mo," he said, his voice filled with conviction. "I know it. You know it. Just be patient. The chance will come." Salah nodded, his eyes burning with determination. He believed it too. In the 70th minute, Liverpool won a free kick just outside the box, a golden opportunity in a game starved of chances. The wall was set, the keeper positioned perfectly, his eyes fixed on the ball. Salah stood over the ball, his body still, his mind calm. He exhaled slowly, shutting out the noise, the pressure, the expectation. He visualized the shot before he even took it, the trajectory, the curve, the placement. Then, he struck it. The ball curled beautifully, bending around the wall, defying the laws of physics, before dipping just under the crossbar, a perfect strike. The net rippled, the sound a sweet release. The away fans fell silent, their voices silenced by the brilliance of the goal. Salah turned, jogging back to his position without celebration, his expression stoic. His teammates ran to him, embracing him, but he simply patted his chest once, his face calm, a silent acknowledgement of a job well done. Another goal, another statement, another answer to the doubters. As the final whistle blew, Klopp embraced him, his hug tight and heartfelt. "That," the manager said, his voice filled with pride, "was world-class, Mo. Absolutely world-class." Salah simply smiled, a rare, genuine smile. He wasn't done yet. There were more battles to fight, more challenges to overcome, more goals to score. The plane ride back to Liverpool was quiet. The team exhausted but satisfied. They had secured a tough 1-0 victory, with Salah's free kick proving to be the difference, a moment of magic that had separated the two teams. But there was no celebration, no over-the-top reactions, just a quiet focus, a shared understanding that there were more battles ahead, more points to be won. Salah leaned back in his seat, scrolling through his phone. His goal had gone viral, millions of views, countless comments praising his composure, his technique, his unwavering brilliance. Fans were calling it one of the most important strikes of the season, a moment of genius that had secured a crucial victory. But one headline caught his eye, a question that lingered in the air. Salah's response to critics, a temporary fix or a true comeback? He sighed, a weary sigh. He had expected this. No matter what he did, no matter how many goals he scored, no matter how many games he won, there would always be voices questioning him, doubting him, waiting for him to falter. It was the price of fame, the burden of greatness. Andy Robertson, sitting beside him, nudged his shoulder, his voice filled with concern. "You should ignore that nonsense, mate," he said. "They're just trying to get a reaction. Don't give them the satisfaction." Salah nodded, but didn't respond. He wasn't upset. He wasn't frustrated. He just understood how football worked, the cyclical nature of praise and criticism, the fickle nature of the media. When they landed in Liverpool, a group of fans waited outside, holding up banners and shirts with his name, their faces beaming with pride and admiration. Salah stopped, signing autographs, taking pictures, connecting with the people who truly mattered, the ones who never doubted him, the ones who believed in him, even when others didn't. These were the people who fueled his fire, who gave him the strength to keep going. The next day at training, Klopp gathered the team in a circle, his voice ringing out across the pitch. "You did well," he said, his eyes scanning the faces of his players. "You showed character, resilience, and determination. But we have a new challenge coming, another tough opponent, and we can't relax. We have to keep pushing, keep improving, keep striving for excellence." The next fixture was against a top-4 rival, a team that would not sit back and defend. It would be an open, fast, and physical game, a true test of Liverpool's title credentials. Salah thrived in games like this, where his speed, skill, and intelligence could be fully unleashed. During the training session, he trained like a man possessed, driven by an inner fire that burned brighter than ever. Quick turns, sharp dribbles, perfect finishes. Every movement was executed with precision and purpose. The coaching staff took notice, their eyes filled with admiration. After practice, assistant coach Peter Krawietz approached Klopp, his voice low and confidential. "He's playing with something extra, isn't he?" he said. "He's got a fire in his belly." Klopp nodded, his gaze fixed on Salah. "He's got something to prove," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "And that makes him dangerous, very dangerous." The atmosphere at Anfield was electric, the air crackling with anticipation. The floodlights bathed the pitch in white light, the roar of the crowd filling the night air, a deafening symphony of passion. Salah stood in the tunnel, waiting for the whistle, his eyes locked forward, his focus absolute. When the game began, it was chaos, a whirlwind of action. Both teams attacked relentlessly, their players flying across the pitch, creating chances, testing the keepers. Salah had an early chance, but was denied by the keeper, his shot saved by a brilliant reflex. The frustration built, the tension rising with each passing minute. Then, in the 60th minute, he found his moment, the breakthrough that Liverpool had been desperately searching for. A quick 1-2 with Darwin Núñez sent him through on goal, his speed leaving the defenders trailing in his wake. He took one touch, then another, his control impeccable. The keeper rushed out, trying to narrow the angle, but Salah chipped the ball over him. A delicate, perfectly weighted shot. It floated in slow motion, an agonizing wait, before nestling into the net. Anfield exploded, the roar deafening, a wave of sound that washed over the stadium. He ran to the corner flag, standing tall, his arms outstretched, as his teammates mobbed him, their faces filled with joy and relief. The scoreboard read, Liverpool 2, Rival 1. Another match, another goal, another answer to those who doubted him, another testament to his unwavering brilliance. The final whistle echoed through Anfield, sealing another hard-fought victory, a crucial 3 points in the title race. Salah stood in the center of the pitch, hands on his hips, breathing heavily, his body aching, but his spirit soaring. The crowd chanted his name, a deafening, heartfelt reminder of what he meant to them, of the joy he brought them, of the hope he inspired. As he walked off, Klopp was waiting at the tunnel entrance. He didn't say much, just placed a firm hand on Salah's shoulder, a gesture of respect and appreciation, and gave him a knowing look, a silent acknowledgement of a job well done. Salah nodded, their understanding complete. In the dressing room, the mood was celebratory, laughter, cheers, music blasting. But Salah, as always, kept things quiet, his emotions contained. He sat on the bench, unwrapping the tape from his wrists, lost in thought, his mind already focused on the next challenge. Mike Van Dijk sat next to him, his voice filled with admiration. "You know, for someone who just won us another match, you don't look too excited," he said, a hint of amusement in his tone. Salah chuckled, a rare display of outward emotion. "I'm just thinking about the next one, Mike," he replied, his voice calm and steady. "The next game, the next goal, the next victory." Mike Van Dijk shook his head with a grin. "That's why you're different, man," he said. "That's why you're a legend." His phone buzzed, a new message, this time from Bob Miller. "Bob, I was wrong about you, Mo. Full respect. You've proven me, and a lot of other people, wrong. Keep going." Salah stared at the screen for a moment, a flicker of satisfaction crossing his face, before locking his phone. He didn't need validation. He never had. His validation came from within, from the knowledge that he had given his all, that he had fought for his team, for his fans, for his legacy. That night, as he drove home, Liverpool's skyline reflected in his car window, a panorama of lights and shadows. The city, the fans, the club, it was all part of him, woven into the fabric of his being. He wasn't done. Not now. Not ever. He still had more to give, more goals to score, more victories to achieve. The story of Mohamed Salah is a testament to resilience, a powerful narrative of triumph over adversity. He has been doubted, questioned, and criticized, his abilities scrutinized, his commitment questioned. But time and time again, he has proven that greatness isn't just about talent. It's about unwavering hard work, relentless dedication, and the ability to rise when the world expects you to fall. His story isn't just about football. It's about never backing down, about answering with actions instead of words, about proving your worth through dedication and perseverance. And if there's one thing we've learned from watching Mohamed Salah, it's that he always finds a way to silence the critics, a way to inspire his teammates, a way to lead his team to victory. He's a reminder that age is just a number, that experience is invaluable, and that the fire within can burn brighter with each passing year. He shows us that true greatness isn't fleeting, it's enduring, built on a foundation of unwavering commitment and a refusal to be defined by the doubts of others. If you want more stories that inspire, move, and remind us why we love this beautiful game, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. What did you learn from Salah's resilient performance? What resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts and let us know. Your engagement helps us create more content that celebrates the enduring spirit of sportsmanship and the power of perseverance. Perhaps you could share a time you had to use resilience to accomplish a task.